The major shifts in the 21st century that have birthed in many ways or enabled emerging Christianity to come up out of the Great Emergence have to some extent, of course, been deeply related at the root to physical science and the technology that has come up out of it, but they've had sociological expressions. There is no question that computer science, when it came along, raised the specter of the question of what is thinking, and went from there to what is consciousness. And if the Great Emergence or emerging Christianity is involved in anything, it's involved in that definition of the human animal if it is not to be defined in terms of its thinking capacity. Certainly technology enabled the ability to engage in archaeology, and when archaeology began to really bloom and blossom in the 30s and 40s, it led straight to, of course, archaeological digs in the Holy Land and in the Middle East, where we are beginning to discover alternative scriptures, alternative copies of scriptures. The birth out of all of that, of deconstruction as a philosophy, had much to do with it. One cannot possibly overestimate the importance of World War II and of the Holocaust, which drove the best and the brightest of Jewry into this country, into this culture, where we invented the term philo-Semitism, that is, the love of the Jew, because they were so very central to our ability to survive the Second World War. And as we have embraced Judaism, there is a strong component in emerging Christianity of narrative theology and of the position that indeed the Bible is one continuous story rather than two stories in one set of covers. It's a massive change. Simple things like the change in medicine or the advances in medicine that happened in the mid part of the last century have changed completely what human vulnerability is. Now, instead of going to the pastor and asking for prayer to cure pneumonia, what we do is go to the pharmacy and ask for antibiotics and get them, so that our relationship to prayer has changed dramatically. The coming of AA in the latter half of the 1930s changed everything, in that AA was the first acceptable, if you will, large organization to ever suggest that one could pray to a generic God instead of a particular one. That is, you pray to some higher power instead of to Yahweh or Jehovah or Adonai or whatever. That too began to seep into the culture as a different thing. The automobile, if you want to go back to the first part of the century, the automobile enabled us to be very mobile, and it was the end of our living together in close communes. And it was certainly the end of the extended family, living close geographically. It also was the death of Sunday, because it allowed us to go to Little League or to go to the mall or to go to the movies rather than to go to church. And so we went from Sabbath to Sunday, and from Sunday down to Saturday evening worship services all across America. So all of these things, and there are some 40 or 42 of them actually. I made a list, and part of them are certainly in the book, that impacted and that became part of the bigger road, if you will, that has triggered the Great Emergence and certainly has impacted the emergent Christianity coming out of it.